So to get into Utah mega sites, first I want to talk about Utah large industrial losses. And to start with, in corporate recruitment, to give you a little bit of background, when a company chooses to locate somewhere else, we call it a loss. And on the flip side, we call it a win when they do select Utah. As you can see from these numbers, these companies would have been a significant impact on a community at a local, regional, or even state level, with 500, 2,000, 650, 220. All these jobs numbers are significant. And with investments from $325 million to $1 billion, not only invested in the site, but in the surrounding community, the area investment is huge. So what this comes down to is companies like this are game changers, and they're an economic catalyst for a community. And all of them chose to locate outside of Utah. In fact, none of them even considered locating inside of Utah, and Utah was left off the site selection shortlist. So this wasn't because of a lack of available workforce or workforce training or too high of operating costs or even available real estate. We have all those factors, and we even excel at all those factors. But these losses, they all have one common factor, and it is a lack of certified land. The definition of certified land varies from state to state and from state program to state program, but generally it means that the due diligence work has been completed and the site is relatively shovel ready. So unlike South Carolina, Georgia, Tennessee, Mississippi, and other states that I didn't include on that last slide, Utah did not have a certified land program, and because of it, we didn't have a chance to compete in any of those site selections. So now we're getting ready to compete, and we've built the Utah Mega Sites program because of it. We're creating certified sites across the state that will enable us to compete with other states and win large industrial projects. So to get into that, here we have why we have mega sites. So this is more than leveling the playing field between us and other states. And why did we create this program? Well, we wanted to be included in site selections and win large projects for the state. We want to increase external interest in Utah and get the attention of site selectors and companies and show them just how amazing Utah is and how amazing their business could be here. And we want to attract jobs and investment to the state and boost local, regional, and state economic development. We want to improve industrial site selection by doing the due diligence work up front and really understanding the site and what we have to offer. We want to be proactive and strategic and know how and where we want to grow. And we want economic development catalysts for communities that bring investment, great jobs, and overall community success. So like the Huntsville, Alabama example of a Toyota Mazda deal landing there, the mayor said, with this announcement, our world changes overnight. It vaults Alabama to the top as an industry leader. And this is a huge economic catalyst for them. And you can see the impact that it's had over the past couple of years. So to back up a little bit about the Mega Sites program and how it all started, we didn't pull this program out of thin air. Like I mentioned previously, when Utah was excluded from large project site selections, like the Toyota Mazda deal or a biomanufacturing deal, it started a conversation about how we could be included and how we could begin to compete with everyone else. And this led to a group of University of Utah Masters of Real Estate and MBA students exploring what a site selection certification program in Utah would look like. So they benchmarked certification programs across the US to determine what criteria a Utah site should have, what certification steps it should go through, and how we can run an effective program. And using this information, EDC Utah worked with the university students and CRS engineers to certify our first mega site in Alberta, Utah, which is just a little southwest of Utah Lake. And in this, we received legislative funding and support to create and roll out what is now officially the Utah Mega Sites program. So now that we have a program, let's define a mega site. After benchmarking programs across the US, these are the criteria for a mega site that the University of Utah group and EDC Utah came up with. They took the common criteria from successful site programs and determined that in order for a site to qualify for mega site certification, it should be 400 acres or larger, it should have established boundaries, have 80% contiguous buildable area, relatively flat topography, existing or future infrastructure near and or on the site, infrastructure meaning some kind of access, whether it's road, rail, air, anything like that, and some kind of utilities, whether that's power, gas, water, sewer, etc. It should have property owners in agreement with the program requirements and a willingness to participate. a known listing price, and it says negotiable right there in parentheses, to really make the point that this is not a set in stone listing price. This is just something that gives clarity to potential buyers as well as people running the program at EDC Utah who are out marketing these sites. And then define state and local incentives. We want to have a discussion early on about incentives so that there's clarity about what can be expected if and when a company locates to the site. As for who's involved, the program, like I mentioned previously, is run by EDC Utah, and I am the program coordinator. And I work closely with our Mega Sites committee, which is made up of individuals with diverse backgrounds who bring their experience and expertise to the table. We have everyone from energy providers to the governor's office of economic development to community members as well. They give their input and recommendations on how to develop our program, especially in this first year as we're rolling everything out. And they also give their input on potential and certifying sites. So now that you have an overview of what this program is and why it exists, let's cover why you should get involved and the potential impact a certified site can have at the local and personal level. So at the personal level, especially with landowners, site certification, the ultimate reason for them to get involved and certify is to be able to sell it, and hopefully in a shorter time frame, to a great company. They wouldn't need to break up the site, especially with mega sites being 400 acres or larger, and they wouldn't have to deal with parceling it out to individuals who want 20 acres here or 50 acres there. And really, instead of having to deal with the ins and outs of developing a large industrial park, you just have a large single user to deal with. With all of these reasons to certify, it breaks down into the marketing on this slide. So for site visibility, we literally put your site on a map online, and then we also put it on a map by doing targeted marketing as we speak to the right people like site selectors and industrial users. The site preparation costs are extremely low up front and much lower if you participate in the program than if a landowner or a municipality were to do it on their own. So, and there will be a high return on investment. As for a community, reasons to certify, at the local level, it impacts your community to have a certified site there. Putting a certified site on the map not only raises awareness of the site itself, but also the community that it's located in. The ability to win projects increases because there's greater awareness of what the community has to offer, and there's certified real estate there. Landing or winning a large industrial project can be a game changer and an economic catalyst for the community that doesn't necessarily snowball, but that is a good example of you land one large industrial user and it raises wages and it brings investment, and that continues to grow for the community and bring additional successes. It will bring jobs and investment that is scaled to the size of the community. For Wasatch Front locations, we aim for high employment numbers and high investment whenever we bring a client in, especially in mega sites. But in rural areas, we understand that the available workforce is already stretched thin, and that bringing 200 new jobs to a community is really not realistic in many areas. So we try to scale it so that we're bringing a company that has lower employment, but still, great employment benefits and great pay, and high investment on their end. So a great example that we have in Utah is the Facebook data center that just went into Eagle Mountain. And this wasn't built on a mega site, but it's a good example of the balance between employment numbers and investment, because they're only going to employ 80 people, but they brought $1 billion in investment both on and around the site. And because of that, Eagle Mountain has an incredible amount of utility and infrastructure going in around their community because of it. So the community will get a high return on their investment into the site, and pairing a mega site certification with an opportunity zone has great potential. As for actually certifying a site, mega sites are certified in 2 stages, with stage 1 acting as a standalone certification, and I'll explain more on that later, and stage 2 building on what stage 1 has to offer to be a fully certified site. Again, more on that later. So we'll walk through the benefits of each certification level and the work and investment required at each level. For a stage 1 site, It is largely a desktop process, and it's focused on collecting high-level information about the site. This includes things like topographic maps, labor shed information, existing infrastructure and utilities, and other pieces. And with EDC Utah, we offer grants from our private money to assist with completing this work. And if you apply for a stage 1 and the grant, you can use up to $5,000 to cover the cost of collecting and documenting this information. And that is whether you need to be reimbursed for your time and money that you spent on it, or a city needs to, if they have to hire an intern or somebody else to collect the work. Or in some cases that we've seen, if they don't have current information and have to contract out with an engineering firm to get that work complete, then we're able to reimburse those costs up to $5,000. So reasons to complete stage 1. First of all, I want to emphasize that if a community or landowner only wants to certify as a stage 1 site, that is amazing. We are happy with that. You do not need to continue to stage 2. So with stage 1, once it's completed, we do online marketing. We put you on our Mega Sites webpage that we're currently developing. We also do in-person marketing to site selectors and companies. EDC Utah has a wide net of connections across the US and internationally with people at a variety of companies, from site selectors, industry professionals, real estate brokers. We're very well connected and are able to connect you into that. It also has increased visibility for the site and community. Again, it puts you on the map and it puts your community on the map as well. And it is little to no cost for landowner or community. So far, every stage 1 that we've seen certify has been definitely less than $5,000. So it shouldn't be any time or effort on your part. As for stage 2 certification builds on the work completed in stage 1. And EDC Utah has agreed to certify 3 stage 2 sites per year. So with stage 1, we have an unlimited number, and we would like to collect as many interested people as possible. With stage 2, we have a limit of 3 per year. And it requires a detailed, in-depth work that will need the services of an engineering firm. And this work includes things like geotechnical and soil studies, title report, ALTA survey, environmental analysis, cost estimates, and timelines for future utilities coming onto the property or around it, and discussion about future local and state incentives, in addition to other work that I haven't listed here. So all of this certification work is time-consuming and very costly, with total certification costs ranging anywhere from $10,000 to finish it up to $100,000, $150,000. Not to scare you off, but just to let you know up front that this kind of due diligence work, it is expensive, but it also comes with a higher payoff in the end. So because it's so expensive, the legislature in developing the program has provided grant money to help cover some of the costs. And the idea behind this is to have the landowner, the surrounding community, whether at the city level or county level, or even AOG level, and the legislature all partner together to get the land certified and sold. So we ask that the landowner cover a third of the costs, a community, again, that can be anywhere from the city, county, region, cover a third, and then the legislature covers a third. And that way everyone has some kind of skin in the game, and we are all progressing forward to get this site fully certified and then sold. So why complete stage 2? Once stage 2 is completed, it's a fully certified site, and we are able to do the extensive online marketing. That means not only does it have a presence on our website, but it has its own dedicated web page. We have marketing collateral created and distributed. This is everything from, we call them tombstone flyers. They're just individual, almost postcards that we send out to site selectors that we've gotten great feedback on. We print off brochures and give them to the governor to take on trade missions. We also give them to our global search and outreach team to take on their trade missions. And we really try to have as much direct contact and marketing as possible. So it also has an improved site selection process, meaning that when a company comes to us and asks about the site, we're able to provide answers that other certified, non-certified sites would not have the answers to. We can give them quotes on how long it would take them to get up and running, what the soil looks like, where they would be able to build, where they might need to reinforce things. It really improves the overall process, and it also generates higher interest from potential clients because of that. So like it says at the bottom, shovel ready increases user interest overall. And this can be seen in what Dan Camp from TerraPoint said. that users can see the value in having a site certified because they recognize their ability to be up and operational in a faster time frame. So on the back end for us, this may seem like a lot of work, time, and investment to put into a piece of dirt that could potentially sit there for years. And we understand that concern. We also know that site selectors, industry leaders, and other economic development professionals across the U.S. have all spoken about how due diligence is now needed in order to be able to compete for large projects. And in many cases, if there is no due diligence or if the site is a complete unknown, site selectors won't even look at it. So having raw dirt is no longer enough. We need to do more work on our end in order to get it to pay off. So to walk you through the entire certification process, the blue dots are the stage 1 work, and then the pink dots are stage 2. So walking through it, if your site that you're interested in certifying meets the requirements, meaning that it's 400 acres or larger, has 80% contiguous buildable area, all those different criteria that we developed in the beginning, then you can put in a stage 1 application, and that application is reviewed by our committee. And once it's approved, you can ask them for grant funding. That's the up to $5,000 to cover the cost of stage 1 work. Then you complete the stage 1 work, which again is mostly high-level desktop work. In most cases, we've had everyone be able to compile the information, I would say within anywhere from 2 weeks to 2 months. It is pretty short, and it's something that we help with as much as we can on our end to coordinate with you and make it easy. So once that stage 1 work is completed, then you submit the stage 1 documentation, and that is just all the information that you collected. And that's when your funding is reimbursed, so up to $5,000. And then you are marketed on our website. Your information is held with EDC Utah so that if somebody comes to look at the site, we can give them that information and answer as many questions as possible with the amount of due diligence that we've done. And that, you know, in some cases, there are many communities where stage 1 is the perfect amount of work to do. It doesn't require a ton of money or investment from their end, and it gets them online recognition, in-person recognition, and gets the whole process moving. So I highly, highly encourage you to apply for a stage 1 site, since that's something that we're really pushing for on our end with the Mega Sites Committee. So once you've completed stage 1, if you decide that you want to go all in and that it's worthwhile to do the full due diligence on the site, then you move on to stage 2. And that application really is just a conversation face-to-face with our committee to discuss the potential future user, what direction you want to take the site, and also the total estimated cost that the stage 2 will require. So that's a submission of the geotechnical will cost X amount, the Alta survey will cost X amount, etc. Once that application is approved, that's when we discuss the stage 2 grant funding. And then the stage 2 work is completed. Typically, that has to be farmed out to a reputable engineering firm who's able to complete all the in-depth due diligence work. And once they have submitted all the stage 2 documentation to you or to EDC Utah, we are able to do the funding reimbursement. We also are able to do that as the documentation is completed, because if the total certification cost is, you know, up to $50,000, it might be difficult for you to upfront to put up front $50,000, and we completely understand that and are able to work around that. So your funding will be reimbursed for a third of the total cost, and then you'll have the certified site up on a website, its own landing page tied into our Mega Sites website that is going up as well, and then we'll develop all that marketing collateral depending on where we're going that year and where we're marketing it at. That can be anything from a better online presence to a physical mailer to a physical brochure. So as for today's Mega Sites, we do have people participating in this program already. We have 5 stage 1 sites and 1 stage 2 site. So where are they? Our stage 1s are located in Eagle Mountain City, Iron Springs near Cedar City, in Millard County, in the Northwest Quadrant, and in West Jordan City. And then our fully certified site that has been the pilot site for this entire program is in Alberta, just south of Utah Lake. So as those 6 sites are certified, whether as a stage 1 or stage 2, we begin marketing them, like I mentioned previously. And as Jim Colson said, once certified, the site has a very significant marketing advantage. And this is true. Well, it's easy to put together a flyer for a large piece of dirt that you may not know the specifics of. Being able to put together a flyer that says we know exactly what you as a future industrial user would be working with, and what the potential development could look like, that is a game changer. And that gives the site and the community working with it a huge advantage. So from dirt to win, our marketing efforts include everything from, and this may sound repetitive at this point since I've reviewed a lot of it throughout this, increased visibility for both the site online and in person. Our EDC Utah Sure Sites page will actually be converted later this year to a Mega Sites landing page that literally puts these sites on a map and then connects into all of the details of the site. So as we help with the marketing of the site, it increases your marketing bandwidth, and those efforts to get noticed or to have the site sold no longer rely on the city or the landowner, and we're able to deal with some of that pressure for you. So again, we have an online landing page, and we will market those sites at trade shows and conferences across the US and internationally, as well as with any other site selector and industry interactions that we have, whether that's in the US or internationally. And finally, these sites will be kept top of mind at EDC Utah, since, to be honest, it's really hard to forget a 400-acre piece of land that we know is sitting out there. And because of that, they may have a better chance to be put in front of a site selector, since they're very obvious choices and all the certification work has been done. So in summary, a mega site is a 400+ acre piece of land. You have a stage 1 desktop process that you can work through, and you can stop there. It'll be a little investment of time and money on your end, but the money is covered by EDC Utah. Or stage 2, which is the detailed due diligence process. And that is where you literally dig deep into the site and find out as many details as possible. And that's where the big money comes in, but also the big return comes in as well. The benefits of being enrolled in the program, again, are site visibility, improved marketing, and once that site is certified and we can land a large industrial user there, it's a huge economic catalyst for your community. So if you're interested, please contact myself, Catherine Morell, or anyone else at EDC Utah, and they can pass you along to me. And I'm happy to work with you and happy to answer any additional questions. So thank you for your time, and if anyone has any questions.
Thanks, Catherine. That was wonderful. Good detailed information. I've actually got a question for you. One of our biggest challenges in rural is utility consideration. Could you build out a little bit more on what kind of utility connection would be great to start into a stage 1 certification?
That one, actually, the more our committee has talked about it, the more we've realized that at this point, any site that has any kind of utility is welcome to apply for a stage 1. That doesn't mean that all of them, regardless of the utilities available or the bandwidth of those utilities, are suited for future industrial development or a heavy industrial user. But we have noticed that we have many projects that, in one case, one is a large power user, the next one is a large water user but doesn't need as much power. It varies so widely depending on what they do that, yeah, I don't know, it's hard to say you need exactly this many utilities before you could ever be considered a mega site. So we're really open to everybody and every amount of utility that you have to offer.
Great, thank you. You've done such a great job. I don't think I see anyone putting in a question into our chat box. Last call. Any questions, anyone? Well, Catherine has both her phone and her email contact up on the screen. And again, we will be converting this recording and put that on our ORD website. Someone has said thanks, very informative, Catherine. So good job. And unless someone has a last minute question, we will close out this webinar. and encourage you again to contact Catherine directly with your questions. Thanks everyone for attending. We so much appreciate it.
Great. Thank you, Nan. I appreciate the opportunity. And thank you everyone for joining us.
Thanks everyone.